Before you try to change the world in 2026, pause, look at your life, look at your habits, look at your discipline. You say you want more strength, more clarity, more success. But tell me this, if your life stayed exactly the same for the next 12 months, would you be proud of the person you become? Because the truth is not comfortable. Your future is not built by motivation. It is built by what you practice when no one is watching. So the real question is not what 2026 give you, but what you are finally willing to demand from yourself. If you stay with this message, and more importantly, if you live it, 2026 will not just change your results. It will reshape your character, sharpen your mind, and turn self-discipline into your greatest freedom. This is not about becoming more than others. This is about becoming unshakable within yourself. 1. Discipline is self-respect in action. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is not force. Discipline is not something you do to yourself when you feel weak. Discipline is the quiet agreement you make with your highest self and then keep even when your lower self begins to negotiate. Most people misunderstand this. They believe discipline is about control, about restriction, about saying no to pleasure. But discipline is not denial. Discipline is direction. It is the act of choosing who you respect enough to listen to. When you wake up early instead of sleeping longer, you are not being harsh. You are showing respect to your future. When you train your body instead of remaining still, you are not suffering. You are honoring the vessel that carries your life. When you speak truth instead of comfort, you are not being difficult. You are being loyal to your values. Self-respect is invisible, but its absence is loud. You see it in broken promises to oneself. You hear it in excuses spoken softly, but repeated daily. You feel it when you avoid the mirror, not because of how you look, but because of who you have not become yet. Discipline is the bridge between intention and identity. Without it, motivation becomes noise. With it, even silence becomes powerful. A disciplined person does not need to announce their strength. Their life speaks for them. Every act of discipline is a vote for the person you are becoming. Every skipped commitment is a quiet betrayal. And betrayal, when repeated long enough, becomes self-contempt. This is why many people feel tired even when they rest. It is not the body that is exhausted. It is the spirit that is disappointed. Discipline repairs this relationship. It restores trust between thought and action. It tells the mind, when I say I will do something, I mean it. Over time, the mind listens again. Confidence returns, not the loud kind, but the grounded kind that does not shake when tested. You do not need more willpower. You need fewer negotiations. The disciplined life is simple, not easy. Simplicity requires clarity, and clarity requires honesty. Ask yourself where you have been lying to yourself gently. Ask yourself where you lower the standard just enough to remain comfortable. Discipline raises the standard not to impress others, but to meet yourself with integrity. This is self-respect in motion. And once you feel it, you will no longer tolerate a life built on half effort and delayed intention. Because the moment you respect yourself enough to act with discipline, you begin to notice something else quietly shaping your days. 2. Your daily routine is your real teacher. Your life is not shaped by what you understand. It is shaped by what you repeat. Many people read wisdom, listen to guidance, and collect insight, yet remain unchanged. This is not because the knowledge is false. It is because their routine is stronger than their awareness. Your routine teaches you every day what you value. It trains you without asking permission. It shows you clearly and without judgment who you are practicing to become. The mind learns through repetition, not intention. You may intend to be calm, but if your routine is rushed, your nervous system learns urgency. You may intend to be focused, but if your routine is scattered, your attention learns fragmentation. You may intend to be strong, but if your routine avoids discomfort, your character learns avoidance. The routine never lies. It does not care what you promise yourself on New Year's Day. It only responds to what you do on ordinary days. Look closely at your mornings. They reveal your priorities. Look at how you eat, how you move, how you speak to yourself. when no one is listening. This is the curriculum you have been following. And whether you like it or not, it is shaping you. If you want to change your life, do not start with grand goals. Start with the smallest repeatable action. Change the rhythm of your day, and the direction of your life will follow. A powerful routine does not require perfection. It requires presence. Doing one thing fully is more transformative than doing many things poorly. When your routine becomes intentional, it turns into training. The ordinary becomes sacred. Brushing your teeth becomes discipline. Walking becomes meditation. Eating becomes respect. Sleeping becomes recovery. Life stops feeling chaotic because your actions align with your values. Most people search for teachers outside themselves while ignoring the one that instructs them every day. Your routine is patient. It waits. It will continue to teach you until you learn the lesson or repeat the mistake enough times to feel its weight. If you want wisdom, look at your schedule. If you want truth, observe your habits. They will show you exactly where your growth is being delayed. And when you begin to refine your routine, you will encounter resistance, not from the world, but from something much closer. 3. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Comfort is subtle. It does not attack you. It invites you. It speaks in soft language. It tells you to rest a little longer, to avoid the difficult conversation, to stay where you are because it is familiar. Comfort does not feel dangerous, which is why it is so powerful. Growth, on the other hand, feels uncomfortable by nature. It stretches you beyond what you know. It asks you to face uncertainty, effort, and temporary discomfort in exchange for long-term strength. The body grows through resistance. The mind grows through challenge. The spirit grows through responsibility. Remove resistance and growth stops. Comfort removes resistance quietly. It replaces effort with convenience. It replaces discipline with preference. Over time, what once felt like rest becomes stagnation. You may feel safe, but you are no longer alive in the deepest sense. This does not mean you must suffer unnecessarily. It means you must choose meaningful difficulty over meaningless ease. There is a difference between rest that restores and comfort that weakens. Rest prepares you to return stronger. Comfort convinces you not to return at all. One builds capacity. The other builds excuses. When you avoid discomfort, you also avoid discovering who you could be. Every time you choose the easier path, you teach yourself that you cannot handle more. This belief becomes a cage. Soon, even small challenges feel overwhelming, not because they are heavy, but because you have not trained under weight. Growth demands friction. Without it, character remains untested, and untested character cannot be trusted. The path forward is simple, but not gentle. Seek discomfort with awareness. Choose the action that strengthens you, not the one that soothes you temporarily. Over time, what once felt hard becomes natural. And when comfort no longer controls your choices, something else begins to emerge, quietly waiting beyond ease. 4. Train the mind before demanding results. Before you ask life for outcomes, you must first ask yourself what kind of mind you are bringing into the effort. Results are not created by desire. They are produced by a trained inner state. An untrained mind is impatient. It wants reward before readiness. It seeks validation before mastery. It asks for results while avoiding the process that creates them. This is why many people work hard yet remain frustrated. Their effort is real, but their mind is scattered, reactive, and unprepared to hold what they are chasing. Training the mind is not about positive thinking. It is about stability. A stable mind does not collapse under pressure. It does not become arrogant in success or defeated in delay. It remains present. When the mind is trained, effort becomes clean. There is no wasted energy in doubt, comparison, or resentment. The action is done fully, and released. This is power. Not forceful power, but quiet endurance. An untrained mind looks for shortcuts. It skips foundations. It wants intensity without patience. But a trained mind understands sequencing. It knows that before speed comes control, before strength comes alignment, Before expansion comes discipline. You cannot rush this. The mind must learn to stay when discomfort appears. It must learn to observe thoughts without obeying them. It must learn that boredom is not an enemy, but a gateway. Most people quit not because the task is too hard, but because their mind has never been taught to stay. Training the mind requires stillness. Stillness reveals patterns. It shows you how often you escape, distract, and avoid. This is uncomfortable, which is why it works. In stillness, excuses lose their power. You begin to see clearly, and clarity is the beginning of real progress. Once the mind is trained, results stop being the goal. They become the byproduct. You move with intention, not desperation. You act from readiness, not hunger. And when the mind no longer rushes, something else quietly takes its place. 5. Consistency beats intensity every time. Intensity feels powerful, but it is unreliable. It comes in waves, driven by emotion, inspiration, or urgency. Consistency is quieter. It does not announce itself. It simply returns, again and again, regardless of mood. This is why consistency wins. It does not depend on how you feel. It depends on what you have committed to. Intensity impresses the ego. Consistency reshapes the self. Many people confuse effort with progress. They push hard for short periods, then disappear. They burn bright, then burn out. This cycle feels productive, but it builds nothing solid. Growth requires accumulation. Small actions, repeated daily, create momentum that intensity cannot sustain. 1 disciplined hour every day outweighs 10 chaotic hours once a month. The body adapts to consistency. The mind trusts it. The spirit grows calm inside it. Consistency teaches patience. It teaches humility. It removes drama from effort. You stop asking whether you feel like it, because the decision has already been made. This is freedom. When action becomes routine, resistance fades. What once required willpower becomes automatic. And what becomes automatic becomes identity. Do not underestimate the power of showing up. Even when the work feels ordinary, especially when it feels ordinary, this is where most people stop. They mistake boredom for failure, but boredom is the signal that the ego is no longer being entertained. Beneath boredom is mastery. Consistency carries you there quietly, without applause, and as consistency reshapes your actions, it begins to reveal a deeper truth about why progress often feels fragile. 6. You don't rise to goals, you fall to habits. Goals are direction, not structure. They point, but they do not carry you. When pressure comes, you do not rise to your vision, you fall to your training. This is why habits matter more than ambition. In moments of stress, fatigue, or uncertainty, the mind does not ask what you want. It returns to what you have practiced. Habits decide for you when you are too tired to choose. Many people set goals that their habits cannot support. They aim high, but live low. This creates frustration. The gap between vision and behavior grows wider. Over time, belief erodes. Not because the goal was impossible, but because the habits were incompatible. Change the habits, and the goal becomes realistic. Ignore the habits, and the goal becomes fantasy. Habits are votes cast daily. They do not care about motivation. They operate quietly, shaping outcomes over time. Good habits feel insignificant in the moment, but powerful in accumulation. Bad habits feel comforting in the moment, but costly in accumulation. The difference is rarely dramatic. It is subtle, patient, and relentless. If you want to know your future, look at your habits. They are already building it, not tomorrow, now. The disciplined person does not rely on hope. They rely on systems. They create habits that carry them forward, even when clarity fades. This is wisdom in action. And once habits take over, effort transforms into something else entirely. 7. Silence reveals what distraction hides. Silence is not empty. Silence is full of answers you have been avoiding. When noise fades, what remains is truth, and truth does not shout, it waits. Most people fear silence not because it is lonely, because it removes distraction. In silence, there is no escape from your patterns, your intentions, your inconsistencies. This is why the modern world avoids it, keeps you busy. Silence makes you honest. When you remove distraction, you begin to hear the rhythm of your own mind. You notice how often it rushes ahead, how rarely it rests where it is. Silence exposes restlessness. It shows you how much of your life is reaction instead of response. At first, this feels uncomfortable. Thoughts rise uninvited. Emotions surface without explanation. This is not failure. This is the process. What has been suppressed now asks to be seen. Silence is training. It strengthens attention. It teaches you to stay without stimulation. In silence, you learn that not every thought requires action, and not every feeling requires escape. This realization creates space. And in space, choice appears. Without silence, you live automatically. With silence, you begin to live deliberately. Those who practice silence develop depth. Their words carry weight because they are not rushed. Their actions carry clarity because they are not scattered. Silence refines perception. You begin to see what truly matters and what has only been consuming energy. This is wisdom without instruction. It does not come from books or voices. It comes from listening. And as silence sharpens awareness, it prepares you for the truth about how strength is actually built. Strength is built in repetition, not excitement. Strength does not arrive dramatically. It accumulates quietly. Repetition is its language. Excitement feels powerful, but it is temporary. It relies on novelty. Repetition relies on commitment. When excitement fades, repetition remains. This is why repetition builds strength, while excitement only creates motion. Every repetition is a conversation with resistance. The body learns. The mind adapts. The spirit steadies. Over time, what once required effort becomes natural. This is not boredom. This is mastery forming beneath awareness. Most people abandon repetition because it lacks stimulation. They mistake lack of excitement for lack of progress. But repetition works precisely because it is unremarkable. Strength built through repetition is reliable. It does not disappear under pressure. It does not depend on mood. It is there when needed. This applies to the body, the mind, and character. Repeated honesty builds integrity. Repeated effort builds resilience. Repeated focus builds clarity. None of these arrive suddenly. They arrive through return. Repetition humbles the ego. There is no applause, no shortcut, just presence, again and again. This is why few persist, but those who do discover something rare. They discover that strength is not something you summon. It is something you become, and as repetition shapes inner strength, it begins to reflect outwardly in an unexpected way. 9. Your body reflects your inner order. The body does not lie. It expresses what the mind practices. Posture reveals confidence or collapse. Breath reveals calm or tension. Movement reveals discipline or neglect. The body is a mirror of inner order. When the mind is scattered, the body becomes restless. When the mind is disciplined, the body becomes aligned. Caring for the body is not vanity. It is responsibility. The body carries your intentions into the world. When you train it with respect, it responds with stability and strength. When you ignore it, it speaks through discomfort and fatigue. This is communication, not punishment. Inner order creates outer structure. When you move with awareness, you think with clarity. When you breathe deeply, you respond calmly. Physical discipline supports mental discipline. They are not separate. They reinforce each other. A strong body supports a steady mind. A steady mind guides a strong body. When your body is aligned, your presence changes. You occupy space differently. You act with intention. You become grounded. This is not about appearance. It is about coherence. Inner and outer moving together. And when inner order and outer action align, the path forward becomes unavoidable. 10. Hard days are training days. Hard days are not interruptions. They are invitations. They arrive without asking, without warning, without concern for your plans or preferences. And most people treat it as enemies. They complain, they resist, they wait for them to pass. But the disciplined person understands something deeper. The hard day is not a problem to escape. It is a lesson to enter. When the day is heavy, when energy is low, when progress feels distant, this is not the time to withdraw. This is the time when training actually begins. Easy days reveal nothing. They require no character. Anyone can perform when conditions are favorable. But hard days demand something internal. They ask who you are when comfort is removed. They ask whether your discipline is real or decorative. On hard days, the mind searches for permission to stop. It brings up reasons, memories, justifications. It speaks convincingly. It tells you that rest is wisdom, that delay is harmless, that tomorrow will be better. Sometimes rest is necessary, but most of the time, this voice is not wisdom. It is avoidance disguised as care. Learning to tell the difference is part of the training. Hard days sharpen awareness. They slow you down enough to notice your reactions. You see impatience rise. You see frustration appear. You see how quickly the mind labels difficulty as unfair. This observation is powerful. It shows you where your work truly is, not in changing the day, but in mastering your response to it. Training on hard days does not mean forcing intensity. It means maintaining standards, showing up with presence, doing what needs to be done with integrity, even if the output is smaller, especially if the output is smaller. Consistency on hard days builds resilience that easy days never could. When you train only when it feels good, you are Kundit, ironing weakness. When you train when it feels difficult, you are building reliability. Over time, hard days lose their power to destabilize you. They become familiar, expected, almost welcomed. Not because they are pleasant, but because you trust yourself within them. This trust is everything. It changes how you face uncertainty. It changes how you handle pressure. You stop fearing struggle because you have practiced inside it. Hard days no longer threaten your identity. They confirm it. And once you stop running from hard days, you begin to notice where your greatest losses have always occurred. 11. Master your reactions. Master your life. Life does not defeat you through events. It defeats you through reactions. The external world is unpredictable. Always has been. Always will be. What determines your experience is not what happens, but how you respond when it does. This is the final discipline, the most subtle, the most demanding, and the most powerful. Reactions are automatic until they are trained. They rise from habit, memory, emotion. Someone speaks and the body tightens. Something goes wrong and the mind collapses. A delay appears and frustration takes over. These reactions feel justified. They feel natural. But natural does not mean necessary. It means unexamined. When you react without awareness, you give your power away. You allow external conditions to decide your inner state. This is exhaustion. This is why many people feel drained by life. Not because life is heavy, but because they are constantly leaking energy through uncontrolled reactions. Mastery begins with pause, a breath before the response, a moment of space between action. This space is small, but it is where freedom lives. In that space, you choose. You decide whether to repeat the old pattern or to act with intention. Mastering reactions does not mean suppressing emotion. It means understanding it without obeying it. Anger can arise without becoming aggression. Fear can appear without becoming avoidance. Disappointment can exist without becoming bitterness. This is emotional strength, quiet, grounded, unshakable. When reactions are mastered, clarity emerges. Decisions improve, communication softens, presence deepens. You stop wasting energy fighting what is. Instead, you direct energy toward what matters. This changes outcomes, but more importantly, it changes your relationship with yourself. A person who controls their reactions cannot be controlled easily. They are not pulled by praise or broken by criticism. They are steady, responsive, not reactive. This is inner authority. And when inner authority is established, discipline no longer feels like effort. It feels like alignment. 12. Pain is a message. Listen, don't escape. Pain arrives with purpose. It does not come to destroy you. It comes to instruct you. Yet most people meet pain with resistance. They rush to silence it, distract from it, or explain it away. They treat pain as an error, something that should not exist. But pain is not a mistake. It is information. And when you refuse to listen, it grows louder. Pain speaks in many forms: physical tension, emotional discomfort, mental fatigue, inner restlessness. Each carries a message about imbalance, neglect, or misalignment. Pain shows you where attention is needed, where discipline has weakened, where truth has been avoided. To escape pain is to postpone wisdom. To listen is to begin transformation. Most suffering is not caused by pain itself, but by the refusal to face it. When pain appears, the instinct is to move away, to numb, to fill the space with noise, activity, or comfort. This creates a cycle. The pain remains unresolved, waiting beneath distraction. Over time, it shapes behavior from the shadows. You think you are free, but you are reacting to what you never addressed. Listening to pain requires stillness. It requires courage. You sit with discomfort without trying to change it immediately. You observe its texture, its rhythm, its trigger. This observation creates understanding. Understanding creates choice, and choice creates strength. Pain, when listened to, becomes guidance. Pain also reveals capacity. It shows you what you can endure, what you can adapt to, what you can outgrow. Every time you remain present inside difficulty, you expand your inner range. You become less fragile, less reactive, more grounded. This is not suffering for its own sake. This is refinement. There is a difference between destructive pain and constructive pain. Destructive pain comes from ignoring limits. Constructive pain comes from expanding them consciously. One weakens, the other strengthens. Wisdom's knowing which pain to accept and which to correct. This discernment comes only through listening. When pain is no longer feared, it loses its control. It becomes a signal, not a threat. You stop running. You start learning. And learning changes how you move forward, because once you learn to listen to pain, you begin to understand the quiet power of small, disciplined actions. 13. Small disciplines create great freedom. Freedom is not found in the absence of structure. It is found in the mastery of it. Many people believe freedom means doing whatever they want, whenever they want. This is not freedom. This is impulse, and impulse is easily controlled by emotion, circumstance, and desire. True freedom comes from the ability to choose deliberately, regardless of inner or outer pressure. Small disciplines are the foundation of this freedom. They appear insignificant: waking up on time, keeping your word, completing simple tasks fully. These actions do not look heroic. They do not bring applause, but they build internal order. And internal order creates space. Space creates choice. Choice creates freedom. When you practice small disciplines daily, you reduce friction in your life. Decisions become simpler. Energy is conserved. You no longer negotiate with yourself constantly. The mind relaxes because it trusts your actions. This trust is powerful. It removes anxiety. It creates stability. You are no longer scattered by indecision. Small disciplines also protect you from chaos. When life becomes unpredictable, habits become anchors. They hold you steady. They remind you who you are when everything else is uncertain. This is why disciplined people remain calm under pressure. Their foundation is not dependent on circumstances. Freedom is not dramatic. It is subtle. It feels like calm, like clarity, like having space to respond instead of react. This freedom is earned through repetition, through showing up in small ways consistently. Over time, these small actions accumulate into self-mastery. Self-mastery is the highest form of freedom. It means you are not controlled by comfort, fear, or impulse. You act from intention. You live with alignment. This is not restriction. This is expansion. The disciplined life opens possibilities that the undisciplined life never reaches. And as small disciplines shape freedom, they prepare you for the next level of responsibility waiting ahead. 14. Clarity comes from simplicity. Clarity is not something you search for outside. It is something that appears when noise is removed. Most people believe clarity comes from adding more information, more options, more opinions. But the mind does not become clear through accumulation. It becomes clear through subtraction. When unnecessary weight is removed, direction reveals itself naturally. Accomplished Aided life creates a tired mind. Too many commitments, too many inputs, too many directions pull attention apart. The mind begins to jump instead of focus. Decisions become heavy. Even simple tasks feel overwhelming. This is not because life is demanding too much, but because you are carrying too much that does not belong to you. Simplicity is not about doing less for the sake of comfort. It is about doing less so you can do what matters with full presence. When you simplify, energy returns. Time stretches. Attention sharpens. You stop reacting to everything and start responding to what is essential. Clarity emerges when priorities are clear. And priorities become clear when distractions are reduced. Look at your environment. Look at your schedule. Look at your thoughts. Where is excess hiding? Where are you saying yes out of habit, guilt, or fear? Every unnecessary yes steals power from a necessary no. A simple life is not empty. It is focused. Each action has purpose. Each commitment has meaning. This creates calm. Calm allows perception. Perception allows wise action. This is the chain. Break it with complexity, and confusion follows. Simplicity also reveals truth. When distractions fade, you begin to see what you have been avoiding. Some truths are uncomfortable. This is why people stay busy. But once seen, these truths free you. They show you where change is required. They show you what to let go of. Clarity does not shout. It whispers. You hear it only when the mind is cued. You wait enough to listen. Simplify your inputs, and your inner voice becomes audible again. When clarity is present, decisions lose drama. Action becomes direct. You stop circling and start moving forward. And as simplicity sharpens clarity, it points directly toward what you have been postponing. 15. What you avoid is where you must train. Avoidance is not random. It follows meaning. The areas you resist are the areas that demand growth. The tasks you postpone, the conversations you delay, the disciplines you neglect all point toward the edge of your development. Avoidance is a compass, not an enemy. The mind avoids what threatens its current identity. Growth requires change, and change feels like loss before it feels like gain. So the mind protects the familiar. It keeps you busy elsewhere. It convinces you that timing is wrong, that conditions are not ready, that you need more preparation. These are not reasons. They are disguises. Training begins at the edge of discomfort. Not reckless discomfort, but intentional challenge. When you step toward what you avoid, you reclaim power. Fear shrinks when faced directly. Resistance weakens when met consistently. What once felt heavy becomes manageable through exposure. Avoidance keeps life small. Training expands it. Each avoided action reinforces limitation. Each confronted action builds capacity. This is not about forcing yourself harshly. It is about meeting resistance with curiosity and discipline. Asking what lesson waits behind it. When you train where you avoid, confidence grows quietly. Not because fear disappears, but because you learn to move despite it. This is courage in practice. Over time, avoidance loses authority. You become guided by intention instead of impulse. The path forward is always through, not around. What you avoid today will meet you again tomorrow, often with greater intensity. When you train now, you prevent future struggle. You build resilience proactively, and when avoidance no longer controls your choices, responsibility begins to feel natural, not heavy. 16. Respect time. It never returns. Time is the one teacher that does not repeat the lesson. It moves forward without pause, without negotiation, without apology. You cannot convince it to slow down, and you cannot chase it once it has passed. Yet most people treat time casually, as if it were abundant, as if it could be borrowed from tomorrow without consequence. This is the gray illusion. Time is not waiting for you. It is moving through you. To respect time is not to rush. It is to be present. Rushing wastes time just as much as laziness does. Presence honors it. When you are fully present in what you are doing, time becomes an ally. When you are distracted, divided, or careless, time becomes a quiet thief, taking moments you will never notice. Until they are gone, every day, time asks the same question in silence. What will you do with me today? Not what you plan, not what you hope, but what you actually do. The answer, R is written in your actions, not your intentions. Time records truth. It does not judge, but it does not forget. Respecting time means understanding that small delays accumulate into large regrets. One postponed action seems harmless. One wasted hour feels insignificant. But repetition turns insignificance into loss. Over years, this loss becomes visible in unfulfilled potential, unfinished goals, and quiet dissatisfaction. Not because you lacked ability, but because you lacked urgency. Urgency does not mean anxiety. It means awareness. Awareness that this moment will not return in the same form. Awareness that opportunities are seasonal. Awareness that energy changes. Awareness that life does not announce when something was the last time. When you respect time, you simplify. You stop filling your days with noise. You choose deliberately. You protect your focus. You say no more often, not out of selfishness, but out of reverence. Reverence for the limited nature of your life. Time responds to respect with depth. When you give it attention, it gives you meaning. When you waste it, it gives you emptiness. This exchange is constant, quiet, and fair. And when time is no longer taken for granted, excuses begin to feel expensive. 17. Growth begins where excuses end. Excuses are comfortable. They soften failure. They protect identity. They explain away responsibility without requiring change. This is why they are dangerous. An excuse feels harmless in the moment, but over time it builds a wall between who you are and who you could become. Every excuse carries a message. This is not my responsibility. This message weakens you. It places control outside yourself. It tells you that circumstances decide your effort, that mood decides your discipline, that conditions decide your consistency. Slowly, power slips away. Growth begins when excuses are seen clearly, without judgment, without attachment. You notice the pattern. You hear the familiar reasons. You recognize how convincing they sound. And then you choose differently, not dramatically, quietly. You act anyway. Ending excuses does not mean denying reality. It means responding to reality with responsibility. It means acknowledging difficulty without surrendering agency. It means saying, this is hard, and I will still move forward. When excuses end, clarity begins. You stop negotiating with yourself. Energy that was wasted on justification becomes available for action. Progress accelerates, not because life becomes easier, but because resistance is no longer internal. This is where character forms. In the moment when you could excuse yourself but do not. In the moment when no one is watching. In the moment when quitting would be understandable. These moments shape identity more than success ever will. A life without excuses is not harsh. It is honest. Honesty creates trust. Trust creates confidence. Confidence creates momentum. This is the chain that carries you forward. And once excuses are gone, no tea. Heng Yi stands between you and the discipline you are meant to embody. 18. Work on yourself until discipline feels natural. Working on yourself is not a project with an end date. It is a way of living. Many begin this journey with force, with intensity, with urgency, driven by dissatisfaction. This is natural. Pain often initiates change, but transformation is not sustained by pressure. It is sustained by rhythm. The goal is not to discipline yourself forever. The goal is to become someone who no longer needs to be forced. In the beginning, discipline feels heavy. Every action requires effort. Every decision feels like resistance. The mind argues. The body hesitates. Old habits pull you back toward familiarity. This stage is unavoidable. It is where most people stop. Not because they cannot continue, but because they misunderstand the discomfort. They think discipline should feel empowering immediately. They think struggle means misalignment. But struggle is simply the sound of old patterns losing control. When you work on yourself consistently, something subtle begins to happen. The resistance softens. What once felt forced starts to feel expected. You no longer debate whether to act. You simply act. This is the transition from discipline as effort to discipline as identity. You are no longer someone who tries to be disciplined. You are someone who is disciplined. This shift does not arrive suddenly. It arrives through repetition, through quiet mornings where you show up without excitement, through ordinary days where nothing dramatic happens, yet you still do the work. Through moments where no one notices your effort, including yourself. These moments shape you more than visible success ever will. Working on yourself requires honesty. You must see clearly where you are weak without hating yourself for it. You must acknowledge inconsistency without labeling yourself as a failure. Growth demands compassion paired with standards. Too much compassion without standards leads to stagnation. Too many standards without compassion leads to burnout. Balance creates sustainability. As discipline becomes natural, motivation becomes irrelevant. You stop waiting to feel ready. You stop relying on emotion to initiate action. Action becomes the default. This is freedom. You are no longer controlled by inner weather. You move according to principle. Natural discipline creates stability. Your energy becomes predictable. Your mood becomes steadier. Your focus deepens. Life feels less chaotic, not because problems disappear, but because you are no longer shaken by them. You respond instead of react. You choose instead of drift. Working on yourself also means releasing comparison. This journey is internal. It cannot be measured against others. Your pace is your responsibility. Some will move faster, some slower. This is irrelevant. What matters is direction and consistency. When discipline is natural, there is no rush. There is only presence as you refine yourself. Desire is change. You crave less stimulation, less validation, less noise. You begin to value simplicity, clarity, and depth. Discipline clears space for what matters. It removes excess. It reveals essence. This is maturity. Natural discipline is quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not seek recognition. It shows in how you speak, how you listen, how you move. It shows in restraint, in patience, in reliability. Others feel it before they see it. You become grounded. The ultimate purpose of working on yourself is not control. It is alignment. Alignment between thought and action, between value and behavior, between intention and reality. When alignment is present, life feels honest. Even difficulty feels meaningful. You will still face hard days. You will still feel resistance. Discipline does not eliminate struggle. It transforms your relationship with it. Struggle becomes familiar, manageable, part of the path. You no longer fear it. You use it. When discipline feels natural, you stop asking whether you are enough. You know you are engaged in the process, and the process itself becomes fulfillment. Not because you have arrived, but because you are moving with integrity. This is the quiet victory. To wake up, act with intention, and rest knowing you did not betray yourself. To live without inner conflict. To trust your word. To be steady when tested. And when discipline becomes who you are, the future no longer needs to be forced. It unfolds in alignment with the person you have built. Every step you take on yourself, every choice to act instead of avoid, every moment you meet discomfort instead of fleeing it, builds a life of depth, clarity, and purpose. Discipline ceases to be a burden and becomes the natural rhythm of your being. Time, pain, and struggle no longer control you. They guide you, teach you, and strengthen you. The habits you form, the routines you honor, and the reactions you master shape not just what you achieve, but who you are becoming. This is not a journey with an endpoint. It is the practice of living fully, intentionally, and wisely. When you commit to this path, the life you desire is not distant, it arises naturally. From the alignment of your actions, your mind, and your spirit.